I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Quoted by Dr. Maya Angelou herself. Maya Angelou is a civil activist, a historian, a teacher, a dancer, a singer, a writer, but mostly known as a poet. Maya Angelou is mostly known as a poet, but she's a universal woman. A couple years ago, 2 to 3 years ago, I was stuck in depression. And in that depression, I needed to find something that uplifts me. At the time, it was reading. So I decided to pick up a book by Maya Angelou. And in that book, I picked many more poems. And I looked at YouTube videos and all this stuff. And her voice soothed me. It inspired me. So in this speech, this will be touching for me, that I'm going to inform you about her life, how she overcame and became. First, we'll start something simple. Where she came from and who she was. Because nobody's born a poet. Maya Angelou was born April 4th, 1928 in St. Louis, Missouri. Her actual name is Marita Annie Johnson. You may be wondering where her name had came from. Her brother that she loved dearly. Mai. That's what he started off as. My sister, which turned into Maya. Maya Angelou kept it. Down the line, not normal childhood, her parents got divorced and they were sent away on a train to the grandparents' house. When they got older, more mishap happened. They came home, and at the time, Maya Angelou was sexually assaulted by her mother's boyfriends. And she went mute. And that time she had went mute was because she believed to herself, 7-year-old self, that her words had power, which is completely true. It took about 5 years for her to come out of the muteness, but within those 5 years, a teacher challenged her to read a library full of books. And this is where her love of poetry began. She read so many books about poetry, she began to memorize them, word by word. Nextly, Maya Angelou began to understand that giving up wasn't an option. One of these instances is when she wanted to get one of her first jobs, one of the many jobs, that she wanted to become a cable conductor. And at the time in the era, African Americans were not in those certain jobs. But did she take no as an answer? No. So she fought and fought until they gave her the job. And this is history in my eyes. And along the lines, she began to flourish her talents. She learned dancing and took up theater auditions, but as many things, it came to a small halt. At the age of 16, she became pregnant with her first child. His name was Guy. But did that let her stop her? No. She did pick up many jobs like waitressing, prostitution, and at the strip club. But at the strip club, this is where she landed her first audition. Prodigy, Porgy, and Bess. And there, she made sure to leave an impression. As she flourished, of course, she was already writing down poetry and stuff like that. She continued to go around the world, and this is where you can see many of the things she had did before. She had written 7 autobiographies, 3 books of essays, several books of poetry, and a list of plays and movies and television shows within a 50-year stance. Some of my favorites is Still I Rise, Phenomenal Woman, and Caged Bird. That was not the only thing she had done. There's many things, but short time frame. That, of course, many people fall in love. So she took her child, and her husband, as you can tell by her last name that she was married, to Africa. And there she did not stop. She began to teach in Africa, inspire, and continue to write the poems that she did. Eventually she had came back to America. And within America, she was a civil rights activist and many more things. She worked closely with Malcolm X and Dr. Luther King. eventually, which led to where she started was the Harlem Writers. Of course, it led to SCLC and many other things. But it seemingly like overnight, she had become a national figure to the public. Many of the accomplishments was when she won the Medal of Art. She had won this because she had read one of her poems requested by President Bill Clinton in the 2000s, and she read "On the Pulse of the Morning," which touched many people. And my apologies, not the 2000s, 1993. But in 2000, she had won the Medal of Arts. And in 2010, she, by Barack Obama, got the Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian honor in the United States. This is just many of the things that she had achieved through her life. But sadly, she had died in 2014. Rest her soul. In 2014, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, she had died. But she left an impression on many people. One person I know for sure was Oprah Winfrey. And we're going to sit here and read her quote because I believe it's a lasting impact. "I've been blessed to have Maya Angelou as my mentor, mother, sister, and a friend since my 20s. She was there for me, guiding me through some of the most important years of my life. The world knows her as a poet, but at the heart of her, she was a teacher. When you learn, teach. When you give is one of my best lessons from her." She won three Grammys, spoke 6 languages, and was the second poet in history to recite a poem at the presidential inauguration. But what stands out to me the most about Maya Angelou is not what she has done or written or spoken. It is how she lived her life. She moved through the world with unshakable calm, confidence, and a fierce grace. I loved her, and I know she loved me. I will profoundly miss her. She will always be the rainbow in my clouds. By Oprah Winfrey. We're gonna show that this impactfulness that was really, you could tell through her quotes. I'm going to leave you with this quote that I've recited in the beginning. "I've learned that people will forget what you said. I've learned that people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." And that's what Dr. Maya Angelou did.